I'm the Rules Girl, and this is Eldritch Horror, a 2 to 3 hour cooperative game of adventure and Lovecraftian horror for 2 to 8 players. In Eldritch Horror, you and your friends play the role of investigators, defeating Lovecraftian horrors, closing gates to other dimensions, and looking for a way to stop the Ancient One from awakening and destroying the world. The goal of the game is to win, and you and your team win by solving 3 mysteries. Tasks that include searching for clues, using ancient artifacts, and confronting epic monsters. But beware, if the doom track reaches 0, the Ancient One you're combating awakens, making victory nearly, if not completely, impossible. Each player controls 1 investigator with health, sanity, 5 stats, and 2 special abilities. 1 passive and the other usable as an action. The game is played over the course of rounds, and each round has 3 phases. The action phase, in which each investigator can prepare for the tasks ahead. The encounter phase, in which investigators fight monsters and have encounters in their current location. And finally, the Mythos Phase, in which the forces of evil get 1 step closer to victory. During the action phase, starting with the lead investigator and going clockwise, each investigator performs up to 2 unique actions. These actions include traveling along 1 path for free, plus 1 red train path if you spend a train ticket, and/or 1 blue ship path if you spend a ship ticket, resting, regaining 1 health and 1 sanity up to your maximum, trading assets, artifacts, clues, spells, or tickets with players in your space, using anything with a bolded action on your character sheet or possessions, or anything that says local action on any investigator on your space. If you're in a city, you could also prepare for travel, obtaining a sea or rail ticket if you don't already have one of that color, or acquire assets, testing your influence to buy powerful upgrades. To make a test, roll dice equal to the stat being tested, in this case, influence. Any 5s and 6s are considered successes, and you may take any items of total value up to the number of successes you rolled. So, if you rolled 3 successes, you could take this 3-value item, or a 2-value item, and a 1-value item. Need a little extra cash? You can take a loan to gain 2 successes and a debt condition, which might come back to bite you later. If you don't buy anything, you may discard and replace 1 asset in the reserve. Once every investigator has taken 2 unique actions, the encounter phase begins. Starting with the lead investigator, each investigator chooses a type of encounter to have. This investigator is in the middle of nowhere and must take a general encounter, resolving the effect that matches the investigator's space. This icon means you must test your strength, rolling dice equal to your strength. If you get at least 1 success, a 5 or a 6, you pass. If you don't, resolve the fail effect if any. In this case, our investigator gains a hallucinations condition, which he's going to have to rest to get rid of. These encounters tend to be random and not so great. For more controlled encounters, try going to named cities and doing their encounters, which tend to have the effect printed here. Istanbul, for instance, offers to improve your influence, potentially giving you more dice to roll when acquiring assets or testing influence in other ways. While Arkham offers to give you spells, powerful cards that test your lore for a chance at powerful effects or disastrous consequences. If there's a clue in your location, you can do a research encounter specific to the Ancient One to try and collect it. Clues allow you to reroll a die during tests, but are usually spent as part of certain mysteries or other effects. If you're feeling adventurous, you could also travel to a far-off corner of the globe with this token on it, resolving a complex expedition encounter for a chance at a big reward. In complex encounters, resolve the top part first. Then if you pass the test, resolve the text in the middle. If you fail, resolve the text in the bottom instead. At the end of an expedition encounter, move the token to the location matching the top card of the expedition deck. And finally, you could attempt to seal a gate you're standing on, resolving a complex otherworld encounter to hopefully close the gate and delay the Ancient One's arrival. This investigator has a monster in his space, and must have a combat encounter with every monster there, saving any red, epic monsters for last. Test your will and count up the number of successes. If less than the monster's horror value, take the difference in sanity damage. Now, if you're still sane, resolve the strength test, dealing damage equal to the number of successes to the monster. If this number is less than the monster's damage, take the difference in health damage. Now the monster dies if it has taken this much damage since it entered play. Ignore this effect. Effects with this icon don't trigger during this phase. If you manage to kill every monster in your space, you may do 1 more encounter. Sometimes, effects cause monsters to ambush you. When this happens, find the appropriate monster and have a combat encounter with it, discarding it afterwards. If you ever run out of health or sanity, you're defeated. Advance Doom by 1, then move your investigator to the nearest city. Tip it over and place a heart to indicate you were critically injured or a brain to indicate you went insane. If you were lead investigator, pass it on to another player. You'll get a new investigator next turn, and while your conditions and improvements are lost, any investigator can have an encounter with a defeated investigator to retrieve their possessions. But beware, some effects cause investigators to be devoured. When this happens, treat it like they were defeated, but nothing is left of the original investigator, including their items. Once every player has had their encounter, it's time for the Mythos Phase. Draw a card from the Mythos deck and resolve it. There are 3 types of cards: yellow, green, and blue. Yellow cards always advance the Omen, moving this token clockwise and advancing Doom by 1 for each gate that matches the Omen. Then Reckoning effects trigger any effects with this symbol on the entire game board. They trigger in this order: monsters, the Ancient One, ongoing Mythos cards, and investigator possessions and conditions. Remember that debt we collected earlier? If you didn't talk your way out of it, it's time to resolve its effect, flipping it over and finding out exactly who you're indebted to. Finally, spawn gates as indicated on this card, along with 1 random monster on each gate. Now, resolve the text in the middle of the card. Green cards also advance the Omen, but also cause a monster surge to occur, spawning random monsters depending on the number of players on every gate that matches the Omen. Also spawn clues depending on the number of players, drawing clues from the pool and putting them in their appropriate space on the map. Now, resolve the text in the middle of the card. Finally, blue cards spawn clues, but also start a rumor. Usually, rumors create special encounters that need to be completed before a certain number of reckonings happen, or else the investigators suffer terrible consequences. Once you've resolved a Mythos card, any defeated players choose a new investigator and start over, gaining their starting health, sanity, and items, going to that investigator's starting location. And that's a round. Choose anyone to be the lead investigator for the next round and start the next action phase. If at any time you complete the objective on the mystery, solve it and draw a new one. Once you've solved 3 mysteries, you win the game. But beware, if you need to draw a Mythos card but can't, you lose. And if Doom ever gets to 0, the Ancient One will awaken, flipping over the Ancient One sheet. When this happens, some Ancient Ones will instantly end the game in a loss, but others will trigger an endgame sequence, usually requiring you to finish a difficult final mystery in addition to the usual 3 mysteries to win the game. Once the Ancient One has awakened, defeated players no longer get a new investigator. They're eliminated. You lose if all investigators have been eliminated. So, to recap, each turn will have an action phase, an encounter phase, and a Mythos phase. You win if you complete 3 mysteries, or 3 mysteries plus the final mystery post-awakening. And you lose if you need to draw from an empty Mythos deck. A rumor effect causes you to lose, or everyone is defeated post-awakening. Ready to play? Separate all similar components and pick your investigators, gaining their starting health, sanity, and possessions, and placing them on their starting space. Choose 1 investigator to be the lead investigator this round. Now choose an Ancient One to play against, resolving their setup effect, starting the Doom tracker at this number, and building the Mythos deck by creating 3 different shuffled stacks with the appropriate color Mythos cards. Then stacking Stage 2 on top of Stage 3 and Stage 1 on top of Stage 2. Grab the Ancient One's mysteries and encounters and put the rest in the game box. Set aside the epic monsters and pour the others into an opaque cup or bowl. Shuffle all alike components, putting the expedition token on the space matching the top card of the expedition deck. Place the Omen token on the green space of the Omen track, and draw 4 asset cards to place in the reserve. Grab the reference card corresponding to the number of players and spawn gates as indicated on this card, along with 1 random monster on each gate. Then spawn clues according to this card. Finally, draw your first mystery, resolving any when this card enters play effect on it. The lead investigator starts the first action phase. If you like Eldritch Horror, you'd love its expansions, adding all sorts of new cards, mechanics, investigators, ancient ones, and more. You might also like other games in the Arkham Horror Files series, like Arkham Horror the card game, Mansions of Madness, or Elder Sign. You might also enjoy other co-op games like Pandemic or Flashpoint Fire Rescue. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to The Rules Girl for more ultra-concise rules explanations.